voice of
Come
an
on,
angel.
Eileen!
You happy?
Oh, hit that note. I can't do that.
This is my girlfriend Tara's daughter, Bailey. This is how I like to see Bailey, laughing and smiling and having a good time, hanging out and watching her Uncle Brian play in his Journey cover band, Departure. That's Brian right there in the hat, doing the singing. I've known him for a long time. I've known Tara and Bailey for a while too, well before we ever dated.
I like the remix.
You having a good time?
I am having a good time. Are you having a good time?
Yeah.
Well, you better get up and go make them stop.
Are you coming with me?
I am.
Okay.
They were always laughing and having a good time and being fun.
It's a really dramatic effect, too, with the steam coming up from you. Hey, Bailey, what are y'all watching?
We're watching the dog show. He's very interesting.
But that's changed a lot in the last 4 years, and not because her mom started dating me. 22 days before her 15th birthday, she was diagnosed with JME, or Juvenile Myoclonic Epilepsy. On November 2nd, 2017, Bailey's world changed. She had been at band camp and had a migraine and was given some medication for that, which triggered a seizure, the first seizure that Tara ever saw, and it freaked her out, and they went on a long path to neurologists and different doctors to find out what's going on, and this was the diagnosis they were given. It's a prison sentence. She is basically homebound. She can't have a job, she can't drive a car. I didn't know what epilepsy was. I've been gaming my whole life, and I've seen this warning a lot. The world's largest Pac-Man has an epilepsy warning right at the start. It says, a very small portion of the population has a condition that may cause them to experience epileptic seizures or have momentary loss of consciousness when viewing certain kinds of flashing lights or patterns that are present in our daily environment. These persons may experience seizures while watching some kinds of television pictures or playing certain video games. These persons may experience seizures while watching some kinds of television pictures or playing certain video games. People who have not had any previous seizures may nonetheless have an undetected epileptic condition. If you or anyone in your family has experienced symptoms linked to an epileptic condition, e.g. seizures or loss of awareness, consult your physician before using any video games. I've been extremely fortunate in my life to be pretty healthy, never really having any actual medical problems. I've never broken a bone. I've never been to the doctor for anything really serious. So this is my first experience with any kind of disease, and it's a hard one to deal with. Tara has gone above and beyond and out of her way to try and solve the issues, get her the right treatment, get her on the right medical path to success. And while we have narrowed it down and seem to have solved the epileptic seizures through medication, she has pseudo seizures that are also another form of epilepsy that are not caused by the same thing and are not treated the same way. So in my efforts to help and be a good boyfriend and a good stepdad type figure to her, I've been doing a lot of research on epilepsy and gaming, because that's what I'm all about, is gaming. And by God, I want her to be able to play pinball and video games with us and have a good time. So here's what I've found out. Video game-induced seizures can be attributed to photosensitive epilepsy. It's a type of epilepsy which is triggered by flashing lights, strobe, low-frequency TVs and monitors, sun through the trees when you're inside a car, sun glinting off of windows, etc., or repeating contrasting patterns, stripes, and checks. Many video games have explosions or flashy effects which can trigger a seizure in some people. Most people think epilepsy is caused by flashing lights, and while that is true, only about 3 to 5% of all diagnosed patients truly have photosensitive epilepsy. The thing with epilepsy, you can have seizures and not even know it. These seizures can not only be caused by video games, but also arcade games and pinball machines.
There is mounting concern around the world that the flashing lights and flickering images of video games may, in rare cases, trigger epileptic seizures. That's the claim in England, where 14-year-old Jasmine Derbasi choked to death during a seizure. His aunt said it happened immediately after the boy had played a video game, and she's convinced the game brought on the seizure.
I thought, why? Why? And then we thought, well, it's got to be that. That's the only thing he did.
In Michigan, an attorney has filed a $2.6 million lawsuit against Nintendo, claiming the video game triggered a first-time seizure in a 15-year-old girl back in 1988, and she's had to take medication ever since.
It's my belief that if she had not been playing that game, that she could have gone the rest of her life without ever having a seizure, without ever being medicated, you know, led a completely normal life.
Nintendo acknowledges there is a rare condition called photosensitive epilepsy in which individuals can have seizures triggered by flickering lights. But Nintendo spokesman Bill White says there's no scientific evidence directly linking video games to reported seizures.
No, we really don't believe there is any reason to believe it was specifically video games. We feel that, unfortunately, we're amongst this very small group of people who suffer from epilepsy and further have a photosensitive condition. There could be many reasons or causes for a seizure.
Nevertheless, since 1991, Nintendo has included a warning in all its games sold in the U.S.
The first warnings began appearing in 1991 in response to the first video game seizure consumer lawsuits, most notably lawsuits against Nintendo. Most of these lawsuits were either dismissed or the consumer lost. Ever since then, game companies have been putting up these warnings before the game starts. Have you ever read the warning, or do you just skip by it?
There are a few people with epilepsy who are particularly susceptible to having seizures triggered by rapidly flickering or rapidly moving light.
As video games grew in popularity, so did seizures in those with reflex epilepsy. But they can be triggered by something as simple as bright sunlight. Doctors see this rare phenomenon mostly in kids and teens, and yes, it can be easily controlled.
Michael.
In 1997, more than 600 children experienced a seizure during the airing of a Pokemon episode in Japan. While some experienced only mild symptoms like headache, some children had to be hospitalized for loss of consciousness and vomiting. The seizures were caused by rapid flashing caused by blue and red colors for about 6 seconds in rapid succession. Professor Graham Harding was an important figure in the photosensitive epilepsy research. He figured out which frequencies, colors, brightness, and sizes were most likely to cause seizures, and that enabled him to create a guideline for media to minimize them. He thought that the video game warnings weren't protecting the consumers enough. That's why later he created the automated Harding Flash and Pattern Analyzer, FPA, which corporations can use to test their products for risk of seizures. The paid tool is available at the Cambridge Research Systems Ltd website. While this can rapidly minimize the risk of seizure, it's impossible to predict all the instances. No person's case is the same. So what can you do to avoid a seizure while playing a game? Well, first you should definitely read the warnings because they too include info on how to avoid seizures. While they're mostly there to protect the company from liability, they are there for a reason. Please remember that you can get a video game-induced seizure at any point in your life, and sometimes not even know about it. Here's what you should do to reduce the risk of a seizure. Play in a well-lit room. The distance between you and the TV monitor should be 3 times the width of the monitor. Play on a smaller monitor, use an LCD, and if you can, make sure the frequency is higher than 60 Hz. Don't play when you're tired, sick, or have a headache. Take a break each hour of gameplay. Epilepsy is a non-contagious disorder of the brain where the person or animal, because it's not just a human thing, experiences seizures caused by unusual electrical activity in the brain. Epilepsy can be caused by a lot of issues, or the cause might be unknown, which is pretty scary to think about. These seizures aren't always visible, and aren't always the type of seizures you see in movies with the loss of consciousness and the violent shaking. There are many types of seizures, and no epilepsy diagnosis is the same. The type of seizure depends on where in the brain the nerves misfire. There are focal seizures and generalized seizures, or grand mal seizures, your typical loss of consciousness seizure. But focal seizures are mainly, absences and other types of seizures that some people don't even realize they've had. Around 50 million people worldwide have epilepsy, about 1 in 100 in the US. If you've had a seizure once in your life, it doesn't really mean that you have epilepsy. You need to have more than 2 to be considered for the diagnosis. It's estimated that about 10% of people will have 1 seizure in their lifetime. About 150,000 people a year are diagnosed with epilepsy in the US.
Bailey Renee Pope.
And unfortunately, you can get it at any age, though it appears most commonly in children or after 60 years of age. It can be hereditary to a degree. Doctors believe it's a mutation of some genes that make people more predisposed to the illness, though they're not completely sure. The brain is a complicated organ, and I don't think we fully understand it, but we've come a long way since burning people for being witches possessed by the devil. If epilepsy runs in your family, you're more than likely to get it than someone who doesn't have a family history with it. There's a million different causes. As I mentioned, one of the causes can be family history. Another cause could be a head injury, in which case the seizures might fade away on their own or they may not. When they don't, it's called post-traumatic epilepsy. This includes post-brain surgery epilepsy as well. Another cause could be brain issues like tumors, stroke, Alzheimer's disease, problems with veins and arteries in the brain. Some infectious diseases like AIDS, meningitis, or encephalitis can also cause epilepsy. You are also at a greater risk if your mother had an infection during pregnancy or if there wasn't enough air during birth for the baby, which in itself can cause multiple brain defects. Disorders such as Down syndrome or autism can also put you at greater risk. Unfortunately, the cause is not always known. There are 1 million triggers. Flashing lights, usually between 3 and 30 hertz per second. Some people can be sensitive up to 60 hertz a second, a frequency like a TV monitor or flash photography. Contrasting geometric patterns, alcohol and drugs, lack of sleep, skipped medication, music. Epilepsy itself doesn't cause death. Usually it's the consequences of the seizures that are dangerous. If you're having a bath, you could drown. You could hit your head on a piece of furniture. If you don't know you have epilepsy and drive a car, a seizure could kill you in a car crash. Sometimes death can happen to people with epilepsy. There is an acronym, SUDEP, which means sudden unexpected death in epilepsy. If the autopsy rules out any other causes of a death in a person with diagnosed epilepsy, they usually classify it as a SUDEP, but it doesn't explain the cause. The seizures can be dangerous when you go into a state called status epilepticus, which basically means that the seizures don't stop after a few minutes. Having a seizure is extremely draining, and if you're in this state without any help, your brain can swell. Sometimes the airways get blocked, and without help, people can choke to death. Other times, the seizures can cause dangerous heart rhythm problems, which can result in heart failure. Most people at risk for SUDEP have untreated, undiscovered epilepsy. If you are concerned about your health, speak with your doctor, who can refer you to a neurologist. They will want to know your symptoms, so don't be afraid to tell them everything, even if you think it's not relevant. It's not easy to diagnose just by symptoms alone. Can it be cured? Well, not entirely. There are some children who stop having seizures as their brain matures. Post-traumatic epilepsy can resolve on its own. If your epilepsy is caused by an operable brain tumor or infection, you may be cured. For the rest of us, it means taking medications. They don't cure it, but they control the activity in the brain and can often prevent a seizure. There are many different types of anti-epileptic drugs, and each of them has different ways of affecting the brain. Unfortunately, some people either have serious side effects or the drugs don't work on them. This is when brain surgery comes into play, if possible, or other means such as vagus nerve stimulation or the ketogenic diet. You really can't prevent a seizure, you can just be ready when it happens. Day-to-day life is hard, friends and school, family, things that you take for granted become ridiculously more difficult. Just getting out of bed can be a horrible time for Bailey. If she's had a seizure that night, her body and muscles are all tensed up and ridiculous, and she is sore for days afterwards, which causes more seizures sometimes to come on. It's a never-ending loop of nonsense that we are trying to control, and we figured we'd make a video about it just to let people know that, hey, it's out there and we need to do what we can to help people with it. So I wanted to show you all some of the games she plays. She does game, and here she is playing The Sims, and it's just, you know, I'm going to do my part to figure out what we can do to help her and help others with epilepsy and be able to still game, because I believe everyone should have the joy that comes with playing video games, and if we can help her play some more and get her mind off of other things by playing these video games that don't cause seizures, I think it's good all around for her. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I really don't know how to end this video.
Yes,
I just wanted to tell y'all about her and
household that
introduce y'all to her, and she's the coolest, and she'll be doing a lot more on the channel.
I created, I didn't build like the
have a great day
outside or anything like that, just did the inside. The gallery to do that and like look through. Oh, okay, well apparently I'm not connected at the moment, so that can go away. But now, have to get, see, it's Friday and Dad here needs to do that and cooperate.
Is this on Steam, or how are you playing it?
Origin.
Yeah,
through EA.
Yeah.
So, that's it.
Is it free to play, or you downloaded the game? Or?
Yes, you have to download the game as well as the other packs that can come with the game. There's a lot of packs. I have almost all of them. Oops.
Almost all of them?
Yeah, almost.
Why not all of them?
Because they're expensive.
Oh, wow. That makes sense. Is this the only game you play? Pretty much?
Pretty much, yeah. It's the only one that doesn't hurt my eyes for an extended amount of time. Me and Alex, we play on the Switch. We hook it up to my TV.
Is it cross-platform? Like your game here, does it carry over to that, or is that something that doesn't happen?
That's something that doesn't happen because
I know Minecraft, you can you could have it on your computer, you could have it on your Switch, and y'all could jump in the same world and run around the same little area.
Yeah. No, The Sims is mainly just a PC game. They have it on PlayStation and Xbox, I believe.
Yeah, it's on consoles and stuff.
Yeah, it's on consoles. You can play it on any of them.
Did you have to so you start with what, one character, one person, one family, or you just do whatever you want?
I don't need that button.
And your goal is to keep them alive, I take it? Like as long as you can, like a Tamagotchi?
Yeah, pretty much.
I used to have one of those. I don't know what happened to that little thing.
She's come in and told me several times in tears if one of her characters dies. And I'm like, what? And she'll cry and be like,
it's mainly whenever one of the dogs dies. I cry, and I can't help but cry. It makes me so sad, okay?
Is this Sims 3, Sims 4?
This is Sims 4 Digital Deluxe.
Digital Deluxe.
Mm-hmm.
Does it carry, did you have Sims 3 and then you got Sims 4?
This is the only one that I've had because the Sims 4 came out. That's a really great question. Multiple years ago, The Sims 4 came out.
Yeah, it's been out for a while.
And they haven't released
They just keep updating that
they
game.
just keep updating all the packs and stuff like that.
Add-ons and things.
Yep. So, okay, I'll show you how.
I had it on my GameCube, which is a long time ago. That's 3 Nintendo systems ago. So, I think it was The Sims 2.
Right.
On there.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember playing it much. I got it and I got kind of bored with it real quick. But you apparently love it, right? It's something you've been playing for how long? This game, is this your world for the last year, the last 2 years?
930 something hours, probably in the 40s by now.
So divide 938 by 24, and you got how many days of your life you spent making other fake people alive?
Too many, most likely. So the way you would start out is if you just have the base game, you get, I believe, just these 3 worlds here. Every time you get an expansion pack, you get another one, and I have
my goodness
them all.
You have expanded.
For the Star Wars one, it's not showing up because apparently I'm not connected, even though I am. But whatever. So here you can click on any of the open lots. You see this
that square that's without a house on it is so you can put a house there and
yep, you can put anything you want there. It's a library, gym, nightclub, museum. They got a huge park in Willow Creek. And
didn't you have an island one time?
Yes, I do. Sulani.
Did you name it?
No.
Oh, no.
No, they name it. So, and if you go searching in these caves over here, you can find mermaid fruits, and it turns you into a mermaid.
Mermaids and Draculas and...
Yes. Essentially.
Draculas. Vampires.
Essentially.
That's a general term for a vampire. Just call them Draculas.
All right. Cool.
And ghosts and stuff like that. If your character dies, can he come back and haunt your house and shit?
Yes.
How cute is that?
And animals can as well. Here, I'll just...
So this is, like you said earlier, this is something you can play for extended periods of time without your eyes hurting and causing... Or you haven't seized out while playing Sims, really. Or it hasn't caused it.
No, I don't think so. I do know, depending on how much my head is hurting, I know when I need to stop, but it is what's a good distraction for me. It's something about the filter that's on it. I know that sounds weird, but it's...
No, the color palette, too, probably helps, yeah.
That's what I was meaning.
Yeah.
And there's nothing flashing.
No, there's nothing flashy. The only things that are flashy are whenever
pop-ups and stuff.
Yeah, and even then, those just come up in the corner over here. and clear my wall posts.
It's not like a lot of cutscenes and action and shooting and things blowing up. And...
So you've been playing this a lot the last few days since your last seizure.
Yes, I have been. It's been a really good distraction. So, and since I've been feeling surprisingly better, it hasn't really bothered me at all.
But what is the ultimate goal? Just to keep a family alive, or like...
Create a family, keep them alive, and then from there So, the family that I had pulled up a second ago, there's mom and a dad, and then they have twin girls that are children, and then twin boys that are toddlers. I'm about to age all of them up because they're able to do that now, so then the twin girls will be teens, and the boys will be children. And so out of one of their 4 children, the girls or the boys, I'm going to pick one of them that I just gain a bunch of skill level on in particular. I guess, picking favorites or whatever. But do that, and from there, move them out of the family house into their own house. Have somebody, family, cats, dogs, big money job, whatever.
Didn't you have one of them be a stripper one time?
No.
Oh, that's that.
That's a different game she plays on her phone.
That's
BitLife.
That's right.
BitLife.
Yeah, that's
My
BitLife.
bad.
So there are a handful of games you play, like BitLife is one of them. And you'll play like
really
Words
play
with
that
Friends type stuff
occasionally.
with Alex or something on the phone. Like y'all might play a game or something back and forth on the phone or
we
something.
play like the iMessage games and stuff.
Because I just always wondered, like, I see these warnings at the beginning of games that are like, could cause epileptic seizures and blah, 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 flashing lights. And
right.
I just don't pay any attention to them because it never mattered to me. So I wondered, what does somebody who's got it, do they game? Are they able to game? What kind of games are they able to play? Is there a warning at the beginning of Sims about it?
They're usually for PC games, unless they're considered already like a haunted or scary game, they typically won't have any type of warning.
So it probably is about the flashing of the lights and
it
how
most
quick
definitely is about the flashing of the lights,
the edits of it and stuff, or
it's the overall color palette of The Sims, the way it being light and for the most part cool type tones really helps.
Well, that's cool. I mean, so like how many in those 938? Have we done some math? How many days of her life has she spent playing Sims at 938 hours? I know I've got over 500 hours in the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild that came out like 4 years ago.
How would you even do that math?
938 divided by 24.
I'm gonna name the dog Kevin, just because I can, and it sounded appealing. And you can get
39.08.
You've almost spent 40 days of your life playing this game.
It does not surprise me at all. But look, you can get him as a little baby.
Look at his little blue eyeball.
He's an Aussie. He got different color eyeballs.
That's a little kid.
And then, I didn't create her, obviously.
I'm an Australian Shepherd.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much a golden retriever. I don't know if you know that.
I know,
do
but
they
that
have
was
an
just
Andalusian hairhound?
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, I don't know, actually. Hold on.
Andalusian hairhounds.
I don't think they do. No, I don't want to go into detail mode.
That's okay, we have one.
We have an Andalusian hairhound.
We have a Pharrell one.
They have an Akita. I know.
Jeez, I'm crow at the size of this creature on the floor. This giant four-legged creature on the floor by my feet is named Bowie, and he is the Andalusian hairhound. He is actually an Anatolian shepherd, and he is a service dog. He's in training and has been for a little while and needs to get back to it. due to COVID and things. It's been off for a little while. But he actually can detect her seizures. And he did it immediately when they got him as a puppy. He started noticing the things. And so they took him and had him trained up. And this dog's just a big old flumper. That's Chance, and he's just a big old fat, silly little buddy. I love both of her dogs. She's got a third dog named Stitch, who's super sweet too. He's a little bitty Jack Russell, and he hangs out with her mom down there in the house all day long. But anyway, that's cool. She's got a service dog, and they're getting it trained so it can alert the seizures when they're coming on, at least get her like where she can sit down somewhere, or she's got the dog with her at all times, and that's great. Another thing you can do if you have the seizures is get a service dog that can smell them. Apparently, it's pretty insane. The research on that I haven't really done, but it's amazing that they have dogs that can sniff cancer, and they got these things that they can do, the sniff bombs, and dogs are just the best, aren't they? Anyway, I love these two girls, and I just wanted to share this story with you guys. Thank y'all for watching. It's amazing that anybody watches my channel. I really appreciate it. Y'all have a great day. If you know someone with epilepsy, make a donation to one of the services down in the description. It'll help out, even if you don't know anybody with epilepsy, but I'm sure you do, because apparently it's pretty common. I just never encountered it until now. Thanks. Have a great day. Captain!
Where you try to have
God. The hairhound. He's attacking. In the middle of the video, he stepped on my nuts and he let me know what's up. Jesus Christ.
What did you
He heard I was talking about
what
me.
Did you do?
Y'all mentioned my giant name. Andalusia.
Andalusia.
Where I'm from.
Bye.
Peace.
I'll catch you later.
Captain!